Okay, so now we're past water and we're to what? What's in the book? You're in the book. After water comes?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Hey, how important is oxygen in your body? Oh, guess what's so cool? Look over in the right-hand column at page 193. Check this out. I'm about at the bottom of that full paragraph. It says conditioned people. Pause and say, oh my God, I'm so thankful that's me. I'm not convinced. Someone say, I'm thankful that's me. If you're not convinced, trained, why aren't you trained? Conditioned persons can force as much as 20 times of their vital lung capacity through their lungs in 1 minute compared to a deconditioned person. Now, we talked about things that affect water loss. Exercise is one of them. Hey, but what happens to your minute ventilations when you exercise? They increase. So as you increase your minute ventilations, if you are trained, say, oh my God, thank God I'm trained.
Oh my gosh, I'm trained.
Okay, you have the opportunity to force more air throughout your lungs, and that is a blessing. Anybody in here asthmatic? Okay, breathe. Have you ever been in a situation where you would have just about given anything you owned just to be able to get to that next breath? Have you ever had that bad of an asthma attack?
Oh, when I was younger.
Yeah. Is it miserable?
Yeah.
Do you feel like your world was like closing in and that's all you can absolutely think about is that next breath?
Yeah.
Okay? So here's what we take that for granted. And so we as conditioned and trained people, we have to be better at continually exercising that cardiovascular system. Okay, so today is day 8 of October. How many of you are on an 8-day straight of exercise as medicine? Okay, just let me tell you, for those of you that make it through the month, there's going to be mad props for you. So just know, keep the faith every day. As if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm documenting my journey on Instagram. It's Amy Fit Chick. So.
What if I can never count?
It's not my fault.
I could elevate your heart rate in a very easy way. And you know what's sad, Macy, even is? Typically people that are conditioned decondition even quicker when they are injured.
I take 3 days off and Mardi Gras.
I mean, there's some legitimate science to that. I mean, that's why the more fit you get, the more fit you have to stay. You know, here's what's awesome. You know, if we could bank our fitness, I mean, if I could have banked my fitness forever, I would never have to exercise again. I would be like, bam, I've done enough in 49 years, pump, I can make it happen. But when we think about those things, it all of a sudden starts to change things. But the body keeps responding to a new normal over and over and over again. Now, here's what's cool about your body. Look on page 195 when we talk about oxygen. Your body does this thing called vascular ization. Some smart person in this room, let me get a drink and y'all talk about vascular ization. What is it? Don't read the definition, talk about it.
It's like how many blood vessels you have in like a certain part of your body, right?
And then what can your body do? Okay, we have all heard the stories about someone where one of their arteries clogged in their heart and the body started trying to self-bypass. Y'all heard those stories, right? Okay, right?
Yes.
Okay, what are y'all reading? Y'all need to be reading stuff that's making you better fearless champions. Okay, what we know is as the body strives to get more oxygen to working muscles, it does this amazing thing where it creates new pathways as ways to get oxygen. So when you take a conditioned person, say, thank God that's me. Okay, and as compared to a deconditioned person, the conditioned person has more super express ways to get oxygen to the muscles. The body will respond to whatever you ask it to. And so if you're asking those muscles to give us more oxygen, the body's going to find a way to do it. The body has a beautiful way of wanting to heal itself and then wanting to establish a new normal and then challenge it to be better. You guys, the body is either deconditioning or reconditioning every single day. When? When? And you get to ask yourself that question. You get to say, okay, am I reconditioning from where I was yesterday, or am I deconditioning from where I was yesterday? You guys, and just let me tell you, the older it gets, the harder it gets to keep reconditioning. The body wants to decondition. You want to recondition every single day. Okay? I was working out last week with a group upstairs right after this class, wasn't it, on Thursday? We have some deconditioned kinesiology majors. We do. Okay? We got to change that. We have got to change that. So we can make those things happen. We have to stay conditioned. You guys, you want as much as that vascularization as possible. You want that blood moving to those working muscles, and it will do it if you respond to it. Okay? On page 197, kind of a hot topic. You know me, I love things that are borderline controversial. Okay, so does anyone know anything about EPO?
Remind me what that means.
Pardon?
Remind me what that means, maybe.
Okay. Erythropoietin, EPO.
It's the protein that stimulates new blood vessel creation, right?
Awesome. So if we think it's a protein that we all have in our body, so that whenever we are trying to recondition versus decondition, our body will stimulate this thing called EPO, and it'll say, oh, Cora's at it again. I better all of a sudden be sure that she ends up having enough red blood cells so that she can deliver oxygen to those working muscles, because this chick's working out hard. So what we learned from EPO is so good at what it does naturally in the body that some incredible scientists said, okay, we're seeing people that are going through cancer treatment. And while they're going through cancer treatment and chemo, their levels of EPO drop drastically. So we figured out how to make EPO as a chemo helper. And it works phenomenal. So it was just the best thing. Well, let's get real. Is oxygen important?
Yes.
Is oxygen critically important to an athlete?
Yes.
Would it benefit an athlete to be able to perform better to have more oxygen?
Yes.
What if we could take that same drug that we made to help people that were on chemo and give it to athletes? What's that called?
Illegal.
Cheating. It's called blood doping. Y'all heard about blood doping? That's what we blood dope with, is that drug called EPO. Now, call that the Lance Armstrong drug, okay? If you are artificially doping with EPO, you are increasing the number of red blood cells. Now, here's what we know. More red blood cells typically means better performance. But if you have more red blood cells, do you think that the viscosity of your blood is going to be thicker or thinner? Thicker. Thicker blood is some risk factor things for what? Heart attack, blood pressure elevations, strokes. Someone said clotting. Okay. Hey, what's a blood clot in your extremities called? You're smart people, remember. You need to know this. It's an acronym. DVT, a deep vein thrombosis. Hey, raise your hand if you want a big old giant blood clot in your calf. Y'all didn't all raise your hands at once. Okay, so what we know is that EPO is sort of dangerous, but there are some things that you can do to increase your body's natural EPO, naturally. Do you want to know what one of them is?
Elevation.
Yay! Guys, do you think there's a reason that all of our Olympic training centers are at high elevations? That's why. Why does your body crank up EPO when you go to altitude?
There's less oxygen.
Because there's a demand. Okay, your body says, I just unpacked my luggage, much less going for a run, right? So whenever your body is in that demand, it increases that EPO. We know that people that live at altitude have higher red blood cell count numbers. We know, how long does it take to acclimate to being at an altitude before your EPO kicks in?
24 hours.
2 weeks.
It's really 7 to 10 days to really, now you start to feel it a little bit, but it really takes about 10 days to 2 weeks to really see that. And then the other part is when you get back to sea level, how long do you get to keep that extra EPO boost?
Yeah, like a few hours.
No, you really do get to keep it about a week. So that's why I tell people, if you have an opportunity to go train at a high altitude and then come back to sea level and dominate, it really does make a difference. It is a legal, fair advantage. So that's one of the beautiful things about oxygen in our body. And again, over on page 199, it does talk about natural EPO and red blood cell boosters. Now, jump over on page 200 because there's some things that we need to talk about. We're going to talk more about the B vitamins in just a minute, but this is a great way because we're talking about blood and we're talking about oxygen. There are two specific B vitamins that are really critical as far as iron transportation in the body. And that is vitamin B6 and B12. If you are B6 or B12 deficient, you are not going to be able to facilitate iron in your body to help it make red blood cells. So what we know is that, help me remember, are the B vitamins fat soluble or water soluble? Water soluble. So what I tell people is, if you are going to take a daily multiple vitamin, which you guys, I do not have trouble with everyone taking a daily multiple vitamin. Of course, I want you to eat.
Real food.
What I want you to eat.
Real food.
What I want you to eat.
Real food.
But there's nothing wrong with, a daily multiple vitamin. If you'll remember, what do the RDAs want us to just do? Survive. Okay? Do you want to survive or do you want to thrive? Okay. But what we have to remember about vitamins and supplements, vitamin supplementation only works if there's a vitamin deficiency. Vitamin supplementation only works if there's a vitamin deficiency. Okay? Here's what happens. If it's a fat-soluble vitamin, it will end up hanging out around in your fat stores. If it's a water-soluble vitamin where you are not deficient in, what will you do? You'll just pee it through. Now, my philosophy is it's a little bit better to have some in reserve, but you guys, if you're having to pee every 45 minutes and it's neon yellow, you're way over supplementing some water-soluble vitamin. So really think about that. Ben?
I would say like in the daily vitamins, vitamin D and magnesium, or even fish oil, it's like too much.
We're going to talk about fish oil in a minute. Okay,
But
so
I just meant like when you're loading up all these vitamins, is there a point where it's just too many vitamins?
I have some upper limits, and when we get to vitamins and minerals, I'm gonna tell y'all what I feel like my absolute upper limits are for people that are exercising pretty strenuously. Okay, so stay excited. Okay, so again, I wanted to mention B6 and B12, and then we're gonna mention those again because they do have some other pretty important roles in our body, but I wanted you to know about the importance of blood in your body right now as far as circulating oxygen as it relates to B6 and B12. Now, what's interesting about B12, do I have any vegetarians or even any vegans in the house? Okay. You need to put this in your repertoire of playbooks. If you are a vegan, especially hardcore vegan, vegetarians get some. If you ever are nutrition coaching a vegan, they have to get on some sort of B12 supplement. Absolutely mandatory, have to. We see people with B12 deficiency ending up with a lot of neuropathy in their extremities. Have y'all ever had that feeling where you put your leg underneath it, you sit down on your leg, and then you stand up and your leg is asleep? Imagine both legs and both hands feeling like that. That's what a B12 deficiency starts to feel like. The cool thing is, once someone starts on supplementation, it usually goes away in 24 hours. So again, we've got to get people that are vegans and vegetarians for sure supplementing with that. Okay, so now let's jump over and let's talk about vitamins. Page 206.